Oh, wait, you're listening?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
You're listening
to Radiolab.
for kids.
Radiolab.
From
WNYC.
See?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Imagine your flesh turns to poison.
And your eyes turn cloudy.
Your arms shrink into stubby fins.
And you slip down into the deepest, coldest depths of the ocean.
Swimming about, looking for something to bite.
You are nearly invisible in the darkness.
And then suddenly this little carcass,
A corpse, a fish corpse, floats by.
you sniff it.
And instead of turning away from the stinking, dead flesh,
Chop.
you have become
A Greenland shark.
All right, now is the part where I make you sing
Oh no.
the theme song with me. Oh, yes.
Terrestrials, terrestrials, we are not the worst, we are
The best?
terrestrials.
Yeah, you got it. Terrestrials is a show where we uncover the strangeness waiting right here on Earth. I am your host, Lulu Miller, joined as always by my songbud, Alan.
Going deep and dark with sharks.
This season, we are looking at creatures that are usually and today's very special storyteller is...
My name is Johnny Modes. I'm a freelance science journalist, and I have spent a lot of my time underwater.
Johnny's mom is from Eritrea on the coast of Africa, and his dad is from Belgium in Europe and happens to love scuba diving, so when they'd travel between those places and beyond, they'd often explore the oceans.
One of my most beautiful memories is watching manta rays glide over like massive kites.
As soon as he was big enough to put on a scuba mask, Johnny would go scuba diving with his dad, spending hours swimming among all kinds of cool creatures like
Sea turtles,
clownfish,
eels,
sea urchins,
moonfish,
and
whale sharks, white-tip sharks, leopard sharks.
all of which Johnny found not terrifying, but
Beautiful.
whereas Greenland sharks, even Johnny, a shark lover, admits
They look kind of dead. So their eyes look cloudy, like glassy, and they also have these pinkish worm-like parasites dangling from their eyes.
wow, okay. But you have become utterly obsessed with this dead-looking zombie shark. Because why?
Well, because these sharks have a huge secret. They've got a secret power, if you will, that seems to let them break the harshest rule of life.
All right, well, to find out which rule they are breaking, we got to start many, many decades ago when one baby shark is birthed into the frigid waters of the deep sea, where it is so dark, it can't see anything.
Haha, but who needs to see? I navigate the deep with electricity.
That's right. The baby shark can detect electricity coming from other creatures.
Alone I prowl the ocean floor. I eat whatever I can find. Dead whales and snails and flounder tails. Crunch, crunch. Delicious, they're all mine. It's nice for me down in the deep, where the pressure makes me hard to reach. It's home, it's where I live and grow.
And grow this shark does, scavenging the seafloor like a vulture.
Dead whales and snails and flounder tails. Crunch, crunch.
Decade after decade, until...
I'm the size of a giraffe. Imagine that. Splish, splash, imagine that.
And then one day, this jumbo, death-breathed shark is swimming near the island of Greenland when, well, I'm sorry to say, it gets caught on a fishing line and is pulled out of the water onto a fisherman's boat. And it is shortly after that that a jolly scientist named John Steffensen happens to pass by on another boat.
Hello.
And first glimpses this gray beast the size of a giraffe glimmering in the sun.
And I just went like, wow,
Just the size, that's kind of impressive animal. Nearly as big as the boat.
And as he leaned in to get a better look,
The captain, he was laughing at me.
Saying basically, we Greenlanders don't really like Greenland sharks because there's almost nothing you can do with them.
Everybody know Greenland sharks, they are poisonous.
You can't really eat them. You can't even use them as dog food.
If you're out with your team of sledge dogs,
You must never feed raw Greenland shark meat to them because...
they'll get drunk.
meaning intoxicated, on the shark meat. It makes them woozy and confused.
They'll run in 12 or 16 different directions.
Okay, that would not be good on a sled.
Exactly.
So the question remains,
Why try to learn more about this Greenland shark if it tastes horrible, no one likes it?
yeah, why?
Well, his reason was because he heard this rumor,
The rumor is they get very old.
How old?
potentially centuries.
Legend said they could get 2 or 3 or even 4 centuries old, which would be older than the locomotive, older than entire forests, older than the United States. That would make the Greenland shark older than any creature with a backbone, older than whales or elephants or wizened old tortoises, which to John just seemed
Really hard to believe.
because, the end comes for us all eventually. And for creatures like us, with a backbone, vertebrates, there seems to be a hard limit. A bedtime for how late we can stay up living. But if this rumor was true, then this stinky-breathed, cloudy-eyed, parasite-covered hulk of a Greenland shark was shattering the limit to life.
So he decides to do some digging.
Picture him picking up a magnifying glass and putting on a Sherlock Holmes hat. I mean, he didn't actually do that, but after that day in the boat, he would spend the next few years as a professional shark detective.
Right?
John wants to crack the case. He wants to find out if the rumor about the shark's age is true. And he's only got one clue to go on, which is that the Greenland shark,
Never stops growing in length.
so as they age, they just keep growing and growing and growing. So with that one trusty clue, shark detective John Steffensen got to work.
And he tried multiple methods. So the first attempt,
In some fish, you can count year rings.
Did he just say earrings? Fish with earrings?
sorta. A lot of fish have these things called ear stones.
Which is part of the balance organ in the head of the fish.
And those ear stones, a bit like trees, will have rings inside them that mark every year.
Whoa. So, okay, if you found a shark and you took out the ear stone, you could just kind of count the rings and find out how old it is?
That was the theory. But it didn't work.
Why?
It turns out Greenland sharks, they don't have them.
So cross that off the list. So what's his next thought?
X-rays.
Ooh.
The actual bones themselves can tell you a lot about how old a creature is.
I called the local hospital and kind of asked, can I come with a shark and we can try to put it in the x-ray machine? The boss came on the phone and he said, sure, when are you coming? So I went to the hospital right away.
Apparently they were so excited to have a shark coming in for an x-ray that
They postponed an old man with a broken arm. He was sitting in the waiting room.
poor dude with his broken arm.
Yeah.
So John goes to the front of the line with his shark. Well, just the backbone of a shark.
They fired up the x-ray machine, took photos of the backbone, and that's when they discovered
It didn't work.
the bones were too soft.
Aw.
So he tries to use what's known as a CAT scan, which is basically another machine for photographing bones. But that doesn't work either.
I mean, that's like 3 strikes. Usually you're out. Like, why is he so obsessed with this? Why does he want to know the shark's age so bad?
Well, John thinks
For any biological question, there's an animal somewhere that'll be perfect to answer that question.
Huh. Meaning any question about how life works. Like, why do we sleep? Or why do we die? Or do we have to die? As long as the question is about biology,
There's an animal somewhere that'll be perfect to answer that question.
Do you believe that, Johnny?
I'm not sure I do. But it doesn't really matter what I think, because John was sure.
So after trying the ears and trying the bones, he decided the next place he would try was...
Eyeballs.
Eyeballs? Why?
Well, back in the late 1950s, humans were testing lots of big new bombs, which released a lot of a chemical called carbon-14 into the environment.
Okay.
And those chemicals can get trapped.
Johnny explained that this chemical was absorbed into the bodies of creatures alive back then, including baby Greenland sharks that were still in their mother's womb. And it just so happens that eyeballs don't change much over time.
Making the eye kind of like a time capsule.
Huh.
So if you could find a shark with a lot of carbon-14 in the very, very middle of its eye, you would pretty much know when it was born.
Whoa, because it would have been born not too long after all those bombs.
Exactly. And because it would take a lot of meticulous dissection and grueling math, well, John knew just who to rope in.
Hi.
You were like sort of his guinea pig, is that fair?
Yeah, kind of.
His daughter, Christine.
My daughter, she needed a project for her high school. So I suggested she would work on this. And she talked to the schoolmaster and he said, sure.
So he's going to make her figure it out. He's going to make her do the hard part?
Yeah.
So her dad handed her a pair of shark eyeballs they had been keeping in the freezer.
I actually have the eye from the first shark in my apartment.
What do you mean you have it? Like, where is it?
I have it on the shelf.
You have like a jar with an eye?
Yeah.
That's not creepy.
So Christine took these 2 frozen eyeballs her dad had given her. They were cold in her hands, and they were pretty small.
Just about the size of a golf ball.
Meaning they came from sharks that should be on the younger side.
Yeah.
She put them on the table and sliced open each eye.
Cut open the eyelids and took out the nucleus of the eye, the very center of the eye.
And then she sent them off to be analyzed for carbon-14.
This is where it starts getting weird.
Weird, because the math was saying these smallest sharks?
They were at least 200 years old.
What? Now, Christine had things to do, like graduate from high school, so that is when they brought in another scientist, Julius Nielsen, to head up the study. And he and the team spent years collecting way more sharks.
28 in total?
Bigger sharks this time, sharks that had accidentally been caught in fishing nets or had died naturally, and analyzing them even more closely. They ran the calculations again, and finally they came to what they believed was the most accurate, scientifically sound estimation of just how old Greenland sharks can get.
272 to 512 years.
Whoa. So there could be sharks that are older than half a millennium down there?
It was like unbelievable.
So this obviously is a shocking finding.
A jaw-dropping story this morning.
Scientists have discovered some sharks older than the United States.
For decades, scientists had suspected the Greenland shark was long in the tooth, but never realized they were ancient.
This means the Greenland shark lives longer than any known animal with a backbone. Did we come upon a shark birthday party down there?
This was when Johnny, our journalist, heard about the Greenland shark. He thought back to all those sharks he'd grown up swimming with as a boy, and it had never occurred to him
that some of these sharks roaming around underwater had lived centuries and centuries. You know, back to medieval times, there was still this shark in that same ocean.
And when he looked around,
It just seemed baffling.
no one seemed to be talking about how the Greenland shark lived so long, how it seemed to break this sacred limit of life that applied to every other vertebrate on the planet. So when we come back, Johnny is going to use his powers of journalism to find out the Greenland shark's trick for longevity. Catch you after just a few more seconds of your life burn away. Just kidding, you're young, you're fine. See you in a sec. Dun-dun, Terrestrials is back, and we are getting sharky with Johnny.
Hey.
So Johnny was on a quest to figure out how the Greenland shark shatters the limit to life and outlives so many other vertebrates on the planet. And
I did speak to a guy.
Okay, my name is Steve Austad.
He's a biologist at the University of Alabama in Birmingham.
And while lots of other scientists all over the planet are racing to look at the Greenland shark's blood and heart tissue to see if it has any secret chemical tricks that allow for its longevity, Steve looks more broadly at this group of creatures across the animal kingdom that are somehow able to live
way longer than everybody else.
Like the geezers of the animal world, like just the super old ones?
Exactly, the outliers, who happen to include
bats,
clams,
mussels,
tube worms,
tortoises.
And he tries to figure out how they do it and if there are any common strategies.
Okay, how does he think the Greenland shark does it?
Okay, there are 3 things.
All right, I'm taking notes.
So number 1, be big and gross.
Okay, why does that help you live longer?
So big because big creatures don't get eaten up as much.
There's less things that can kill you, basically.
Less things that can kill you. You're more intimidating to other animals.
Yeah, if you're the Greenland shark, then you probably don't have any predators except maybe whales.
Okay.
And gross because, well, if you're gross, then both creatures below and humans themselves won't eat you because you're disgusting.
That's funny. It's like it's like that yucky, the toxic meat, the yucky worm-like thing in the eye. It's almost all the stuff we were ridiculing about, making fun of it. It's almost like a shield from death.
Yeah, in a way.
Okay, number 1, be big and gross. What is number 2?
Number 2, be slow.
And the fastest speed that they've been recorded to swim at is slower than an 80-year-old walks.
No, like a sweet old man slowly shuffling across the street. That's how slow they move underwater?
Yeah, a healthy 80-year-old walks about 1 meter per second, and a Greenland shark's top speed that's ever been measured is about 2/3 of that.
Wow. And that's why they're mostly scavengers. They'll eat dead fish and dead seals and dead
reindeer and polar bears and
reindeer?
Yeah.
Let's take a break to consider that a shark can eat a reindeer. Let's take a break to consider Santa's fleet in a shark belly.
Jingle, jingle, jump. In there.
Yeah, probably they died and fell in the ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't chase after that.
Oh, okay. But how does being slow actually help it live longer?
Well, this is where things get really cool. It's not just that it's moving slowly. Its heart is beating slowly. Its belly is digesting super slowly. Which means, first of all, that it doesn't need to eat as much to power its body.
If there's a food shortage, you could probably go for years without eating. So I think
years? Really? Years?
They figure they can eat about 1 medium-sized seal a year.
Oh, wow. Which helps them cheat death because they can survive stretches of famine or food shortages that would knock out most other creatures.
Whoa.
And perhaps even more important, it turns out that the faster your body goes, eating, moving, getting stressed, the faster these not so great chemicals are released into your body.
Free radicals that damage everything they touch.
Heart tissue, bone tissue, brain cells. But if you live in slow-mo, like the Greenland shark, then those chemicals don't get released as fast.
Weird. Okay, so basically the slower your body runs, the slower it wears down?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Wow. Okay, so be big and gross and real slow. Slow it down.
Yep, and the third thing is be lonely. They live deep in the ocean, away from other creatures and from storms.
Or a lightning strike.
Or motorboats with sharp propellers churning by. So they're less likely to get killed by a freak accident.
Oh.
And also,
They don't live in huge social groups.
so they don't come together to interact much, which means they're less likely to catch viruses or diseases from one another.
Alone I prowl the ocean floor.
So part of their sort of troll-like living deep in that lonely darkness, like that's kind of protecting them too?
Yeah, being solitary actually decreases their chances of being hurt by all these different dangers in the world.
There's something like a little sad to me about this bargain, like to live longer, you kind of have to opt out of the stuff of living. Like be away from adventure, be away from other creatures like you. You opt out a lot
A
of
really boring life.
yeah, like opt out of life. Kind
I'm
of.
thinking about my clams.
Those old clams that Steve studies.
There are clams that live 500 years at the bottom of the sea, opening their shell occasionally. And, you know, one of my clams I calculated was born 65 years before Shakespeare was born.
Whoa.
It had just been sitting there. I'm thinking, what a dull existence.
Yeah, it does seem pretty boring.
I see your point, Lulu. But we just know so little about the true lives of these sharks. Maybe it's kind of a party down there. Maybe it's an adventure. Maybe they're doing things that we haven't even discovered yet. For instance, scientists only recently figured out that maybe these sharks can catch live prey.
How?
Using their electricity perception.
Oh.
Another recent study suggests that Greenland sharks don't even start to have babies until they're over 100 years old.
Whoa.
Meaning they essentially get 100 years to stay a kid.
Huh. Like they're little Peter Pans down there, forever young.
Little Peter Pans, yep. Not forever, but for long, yes.
All right, well, touche, Johnny. Thank you for reminding us to keep our minds open, especially in the dark.
You are most welcome, Lulu.
In the deep, cold ocean, we swim alone.
A little misunderstood, but we're at home.
Yeah, we may seem gross, oh so gross, on the deep, dark, and cold ocean floor. But what makes you think that you know? We take it slow.
You never tried to understand us. Seems like you can't stand us. Steer clear, don't come near us, you fear us.
You never really tried to get to know, but that's fine, we're loving life down below. Oh, and by the way, we'll never understand why you freaky finless weirdos went and named us after land.
We're literally aquatic.
Weirdos. We take it slow. We take
tried to understand us.
Alan Guffin, Finn, Ski, with special musical guests Mike Kinsella from the bands American Football and Owen. And that's it. Terrestrials is over, and there's nothing else cool about to... What's that?
Excuse me, I have a question. Me too. Me 3. Me 4.
The Badgers. Listeners, badgering questions for the expert. Are you ready?
Yes, indeed.
Hi, I'm Kate, and 5 years old. And it's true that when a mama shark is pregnant, her babies will sometimes eat each other in the room.
Oh my gosh, I have always wondered that. Is that true that baby sharks will eat each other inside the mommy's belly?
That's true.
That's true?
Well, some sharks do it.
Sand tiger sharks have definitely been found to do it. They will eat their brothers and sisters inside their mom's belly.
But we know very little about the Greenland sharks with the young ones.
Hi, I'm Dr. Yvonne Sue. I'm 35. My question is, why are they so ugly? And did their ugliness help them survive?
I don't know if they're ugly. No, but I don't know. It won't help them to survive because if you're living down at 2,000 meters, It's pitch black anyway. So no, it has nothing to do with that. They look like they look, and that's it.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm 77 years old. And my question is, since they're so slow, would it actually be fine to swim with them?
Well, I would never do it. That's for sure. They have like two different sets of teeth. In the bottom, they have like the cutting teeth, like a razor blade, whereas in the upper part, it's just like spikes coming down.
Ooh.
So I would not go in the water with them. No, never.
Okay, noted. I'm going to leave it there with the Greenland shark and its Swiss Army knife of teeth, and not tell you that part of the reason their skin is so poisonous is because there is urea in it, aka the ingredient in urine, aka pee. There is pee in their skin. I'm not going to tell you that because I'm nice. Terrestrials was created by me, Lulu Miller, with WNYC Studios. This episode was produced by Brenna Farrell and Mira Burtwin-Tonic with help from Alan Gafinsky, Anna Gonzalez, Tanya Chawla, Sarah Sandbach, Valentina Powers, and Joe Plord. Fact-checking by Natalie Middleton. Support for Terrestrials is provided by the Simons Foundation, the Arthur Vining Davis Foundations, the Calliopeia Foundation, and the John Templeton Foundation. Thank you! Big special thanks this episode to Dr. Julius Nielsen. He has done a ton of incredible work on the Greenland shark and was a huge help on this episode. Also to Jan Hannemeyer, Holly Shields, Grace and Charlotte Beckerman, and to you for listening. Catch ya in a couple spins of this watery old planet of ours. Whew.